Alright, now let's say we have a little bit more complicated setup here where you got, let's say, a couple speakers, maybe a subwoofer. We'll start with just the two speakers, and then you have a mixer here. Basic operation, plug in your mixer power. I'm not going to even bother showing that, it's pretty self-explanatory. In this case, this mixer has 1/4 inch main outputs left and right. These are also considered TRS outputs because they have a tip, ring, and sleeve. Basically, you're going to take and if you're going to do two speakers, remember which cable's which. In this case, it's not going to really matter, but you're going to take one, plug it into left, and take two and plug it into right. Now you might have a mixer that has these, and then you might have one that's got XLR. If it's got XLR, same thing. Just plug your XLR in. It'll be a female XLR cable end into a male XLR output on the board. But same thing, just make sure left is left and right is right. But in this case, we're going to go from TRS to XLR, and we'll show you that on the speaker side. So you got your TRS 1/4 inch left and TRS 1/4 inch right, and then you're going to go to the speaker. Now I'm going to show you with the one speaker, but basically you're going to have two of the same speakers. So we'll show you how to manage that. Now if you remember from earlier how to put the speakers on a speaker stand, especially if you're outside or something where people are all standing up, make sure that you have the speaker overhead. And make sure that you have the legs of the speaker stand spread wide at a wide stance for stability. Now remember, if you remember, I said it's not going to matter for me which one's left and which one's right because they're going into the same speaker in this particular setup. But let's say, for instance, you are connecting two speakers. Okay, so just make sure again you remember which one's left and which one's right. Now, if you want to keep left being left and right being right, make sure that you remember that your left speaker is the one that your audience sees as left. So if you're looking at the speakers, it's the one on your left side. Now let's say your left side, let's say this is a left speaker on your left side. You're going to take your left side cable coming out of the left main output of your board, and this could be XLR or 1/4 inch on the other side. But either way, you're going to come out to XLR on this end. Now remember, some speakers will have XLR. Pretty much all speakers have XLR input. Some only have 1/4 inch, and some, like this, have a what's called a combo jack. Again, has both XLR and 1/4 inch. And you saw how I connected the 1/4 inch, the TRS cables, or TS cables in there for connecting music. In this case, we're going to plug in XLR just like you would a microphone. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your first channel, or channel A, and just plug in there. And since we're connecting to a mixer, to give full output, in this case, and this is pretty, I would say this is pretty similar to any other speakers you're going to use, put it at 12 o'clock. This one's pretty explanatory. It tells you if it's a line level to put it up here. If it's a straight microphone level like I showed you before, then you're going to want to come over here for appropriate levels. But since you're coming out of a mixer, put it at 12 o'clock because your fine adjustment for your overall volume is going to be coming from the mixer. So all you want here is your maximum output for your speaker, and then you can adjust later. And then basically for your right channel output, you're going to go to your right channel, your right speaker that's on your right side. If you're facing the front of the speakers, it's the one on your right side, and do the same exact thing. Now let's say you have a subwoofer. Now again, this is a powered subwoofer, and that's what we'll be using at the conventions and everything for the most part, for our small setups, that is. Now let's say you got one subwoofer and two left and right speakers instead of two subwoofers or more. This is what you're going to do. You're going to take your left plug in. This is your left coming out of the left side of the board. You're going to go into input A, or input left, or input 1, depending on what the subwoofer says on the back plate. And you're going to take your right side and you're going to go into B, or right, or 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take another XLR cable. You're going to take the female end this time, and let's say you're going to your right speaker. So you're going to go into so you got your input, your output right, your main right output from the board coming into input B, or 2, or right, on the subwoofer. Then you're going to take the female end of another XLR cable, plug it onto the output B of the subwoofer, or to or right, depending on your subwoofer. And then you're going to take your male end and you're going to plug it into your right side speaker as I just demonstrated, and then repeat the same thing for left. Now, let's say if you have two subwoofers and you want to keep them in a stereo array. Well, in that case, what you would do, so let's say you've got a subwoofer on the right with a speaker on top and a subwoofer on the left with a speaker on top. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come in, let's say this is your left side, you're going to take your left side output from your main left side output from your mixer, and you're going to put it in input A, and then you're going to go and do the same thing like I just showed you, and you're going to go straight from output A right here with your female side of the XLR, just like this, and you're going to go into output A, and then you're going to go straight up to your input 1 on the back of your speaker that's above the subwoofer, and again mirror that on your right side. Now let's say that you have more than one subwoofer, but you want to run the subs mono, but still keep your speaker stereo. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come into input A with your left side from the board, like I showed you, and input B with the right side out of the board, like I showed you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take two XLRs and you're going to go from output A and output B into your input A and input B on your second subwoofer. But make sure that you have this, you see where it says outputs A and B, you have through or HPF, or which means high pass filter. When you have it plugged into your speakers, if you're going straight from your subwoofer to your speakers, make sure this switch is switched to high pass filter. So that basically is separating the low frequencies and putting into the sub, and then it's taking the remaining frequencies. For this particular cabinet is 100 hertz. You're going to take your 100 hertz and up, and it's going to send that to your speakers, but 100 hertz and down is only for the subs. But if you're going to connect to another sub, then you're going to want to go and hit this through. That means all frequencies are going through, so nothing is changing. So you're going to come in, and then you're going to go to your second sub, and then in your second sub, you're going to go, so you got your input A and input B from your first sub. Then you're going to go from your output A and output B to your speakers. And then you, on your second sub, you're going to want to switch to high pass filter. So, like I said, it can be pretty complicated, but it's relatively pretty simple once you get a hang of what you're doing.